Massenomics. Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear. All right, guys, we are here, not live. We're here live from the future past. How's it going? We are in Columbus, Ohio, post day one. It's technically day two of the Arnold, isn't it?
Day one for Massenomics.
Nobody gives a fuck about Thursday at the Arnold, though, do they? Shane, does Arnold give a shit, Shane?
Is he there on Thursday even?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I think I saw. I don't know.
he's here today.
Who's Arnold?
The Arnold Palmer.
You ever seen
Arnold from Westworld.
Oh yeah, I thought this was
Arnold
a Westworld
designed-
convention we went
this
to
was
today.
not a Westworld convention?
Like everyone was just crazy weird robots. Yeah. It would explain a lot more.
So we just got through a day in which we all got up at, Shane got up at 2 in the morning and ate 11 eggs, and then got on a plane and farted it up.
And then got in the Ohio and farted it up.
Yes.
And then got in our.
No part of the country is safe.
Yeah. So we then we flew to Minneapolis, then we flew to Columbus, and now we are here in Ohio after having spent, I don't even know how long we were at the Arnold, for probably 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, think about that.
It was a whirlwind. So we went in, we picked up we somehow were able to pull off getting media credentials, which I have no idea how we were able to do it. Also wasn't
We
sure
were able
how
to make
sweet-
documents look really official. I
Oh,
think.
they said, "Oh my God, look at that letterhead! Like
Yeah.
you guys must really be a real thing if you have letterhead that looks like that." And you gave yourselves all titles. Like you must be.
So just to tie into this, once we got our media, so we got the media credentials. Me being the photographer of the group, got the photographer pass. So when I was in the photo section taking photos, people asked what company I was with, and I would just say I'm with a website. And the reaction I get was, "Oh, nice," and that was about it. So
I think me and Shane should have had one that said Klingons.
If we could have had
Shane's actually an intern.
yeah.
So.
If
He's
we-
learning.
If we would have had, we could have gotten probably everybody credentials if we would have had some sort of company documents with anybody's name on it. We basically had to send in like our partnership agreement to get proof that we were attached to the company. Otherwise, I think basically we could have just sent in like your guys' gym membership. You're like, oh yeah, Massenomics, you're good.
At the very least, credentials means you get to go to the Arnold for like you don't have to pay to go into the Arnold.
Yeah, that's the truth there.
Yeah.
The other thing is it also means that you, if you're feel like the photographer is in the best spot for sure.
Yeah, it means you get unlimited front row access to
Everything all the time forever.
kind of, yeah, especially being the strongman, like the big events. Like
Yeah.
I literally walked up there. We asked another cameraman, "Can I go here?" And his answer was, "I don't know, just go until someone says no."
Yeah.
And I even asked permission, and no one, even the people in charge, didn't know where you could go. So that I just took that as go to the very front. And
Yeah, and even like the very front row that you were in said something about like reserved for something
it said
and
staff and judges, which no one there was staff or
Everyone
judges.
was photographers.
Yeah.
So all I know is I leaned over there. I was like, "Hey, we got a photographer who's trying to get up in here. Is there? How do we get? Because everything was walled off." And he was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like climbed in here. So just do that." We're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, what was that seating area? Like anybody and everybody were able to get in there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
roped off, but I think it's
It's just chairs. It's
Yeah.
just chairs. So like
I don't know why it's roped off.
So the only thing that was actually, I think, reserved for media was the actual space that Tommy was sitting. Was like that very front row.
Yeah.
Like on the if you were at a titty bar, it would be considered the rail or Sniffer's row.
So that brings me to a question I had. What did Hafthor Bjornsson's knee sleeves smell like? Because could you have touched?
it was-
Could you have touched Hafthor?
I think I could have touched him. Yeah, it was kind of like a weird European type smell, like kind of like an IKEA Northern Europe type thing. But yeah, he's an enormous person. I took a photo and we'll let everyone see it. But just of like his knees down and the size of his calves, and then the knee sleeves required to like cover his knees. It's just something that you can't comprehend how big that is.
His knee sleeves are like pants.
They are.
You know what I mean? They're so big. Sean,
You could definitely put a baby in it, and it would be too big for a baby.
I mean, like all of us are used to being around you and like Tyler and Tanner.
A bunch of big people.
And then you go and literally see them two, like Brian Shaw and him. It's just, that was mind blowing to me.
the interesting thing about it, so when the event actually started, the first thing that I noticed when they announced they brought all 10 guys out was, holy shit, Thor came out first and Shaw came out last.
which is just awesome that they did it that way.
So Thor came out, and then there was all these other guys are very strong, and they all have accomplished.
They all deserve
lot,
to be there.
for sure. But they are all on a totally different level physically than Thor and Shaw. Like, they just look like they're a different species of human being.
They do.
Like there was Thor here and all these other people that looked like regular ass humans who would make us all look so fucking small, and then Shaw on the other end, and it was just like giant silverback gorillas.
Like, I didn't realize when Shaw turns away from you, how big his upper back is.
his
Like,
upper. I kept thinking the same thing. His upper back is indescribable.
his traps
without
where he
seeing
meets
it
his
in
back and shoulders is insane.
yeah, it's something different completely.
I also think that I saw an interesting theory here. So Shaw's rocking the beard this year. And,
Gigantor.
because he has gotten so big, like I think he's put on, we'll get into the MCs a little bit later. But our MC, Mark Henry, said, Brian Shaw looks to be at least 10 or maybe 15 pounds bigger than he was last year. And it's like, well, Shaw was 340 pounds. If Shaw is any bigger, like 10 pounds is not going to be consequential when it comes to looks. Shaw looks like he's gained, I would guess, 700 pounds in the last year. But he's rocking the beard, and I think the beard is because if he didn't have the beard and he had a
wouldn't
shaved
have
head,
a neck or
he would
anything.
look like a fucking thumb. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he would just be a fucking thumb. And somebody did a little picture on Instagram of that. It was like a big old thumb on Brian Shaw's body, and then they just drew the beard in on him. Like,
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, those two are fucking. And so day one, this is all, by the time you hear this will be so irrelevant as far as the results. But day one, Shaw took first place in both events, basically.
I wouldn't say it felt like he was just like clearing house, but he was just.
Just a more solid performer.
Well,
than,
and the events are so freaking hard.
Well, it's kinda
that
hard to even
it's
tell
freaking
on them,
hard for
too.
him. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like he's just going out and crushing the.
He didn't like he
1,500
didn't.
pound yoke.
Well, that's what's weird is there's nothing. I don't think anything is going to happen in an event as heavy as the Arnold Strongman that is going to be
like a wow you.
where
or,
you'll be
yeah.
where you'll be like that was a decisive performance.
Maybe, like, do you think on the deadlift he might?
Yeah,
Like, he
'cause
might put.
He might. He'll probably pull 1,000 pounds. And I
Yeah.
don't know. You know, him and Jerry Pritchett might both pull 1,000 pounds, and I don't know who else in the field can do that.
Yeah.
So.
yeah,
Until you get Big Shane up there.
that's right.
I don't know if I can even do half that.
I don't like the pressure.
Yeah, but they use a big fancy long bar
Yeah,
and these plates.
there's
Like we could
straps,
probably all do
yeah.
1,000 pounds on that.
Yeah,
like,
it's not even like a
that's-
deadlift anymore.
no.
Shane just uses a trap bar.
I would have really liked to see Eddie Hall and Big Z on the stage. Just
Yeah.
because Eddie would fit. I mean,
He would be in their category.
Yeah, he would. Be, I mean, he weighs 400 pounds too. So
And while I like all the other competitors, right now there's two people that I want to see, and then there's the rest.
you can tell the entire crowd every time
Yeah.
one of
Yeah,
those two
it's
walks
exactly-
out.
And,
It's
and
like-
I do believe that if this field was filled out with Zadrunas and with Eddie Hall, that
it'd be
you would
a-
have
it'd be a
four
crazy
fucking,
Oh, that would have been a
four
lot
fucking
better
titans.
crowd.
I mean, could you imagine how? Because it really was.
I feel like at that point
welterweight.
you would just tell no one else to even come. Like, just let it be those four guys.
Well, another thing too, like these two events, like they're so monotonous. Like it takes them a while to move things. They're not the most
So
exciting
that's another
events.
thing. We learned that Massenomics puts on a pretty damn good strongman. We
Fucking
might
A,
have
we
to
do.
volunteer some of our helpers next year at the Arnold strongman.
I am convinced. Yeah, we've got a good Big Shane wasn't too bad of a helper right over here. We got one of them right here. But
They had
so
3
hard.
guys keeping time on the stopwatch. I would make the bet that we are more efficient with our one.
I think we had a louder cheering crowd than what exists at the Arnold also.
For sure. That was an interesting thing. So at the Arnold, there's so many people and there's so much other shit going on in this building that is
I
the
would compare
size
it
of-
to fitness ADD that then puked into a room, and that's what you get. Is
full of like disco drugs. Like it was just fucking insane.
It's like Zumba music playing at full volume at all times, like you're in some weird dance club.
And from like 11 different places. And what they're trying to do is get your attention so you go there. So it's like fucking just loud ass music and chaos over there, and loudest music.
I think I told you when we walked in, Tyler. I said, like, if I saw this on a movie, like, and someone said they were parodying, like putting on a parody of it, I would believe it. But no, this is really what it is. Like, it is just that over the top.
Well, you
in
knew
every
it was
way.
going to be good when we walked in, and Tanner's like, "Ross, it's Dan Green." I was like, "Bullshit!" And I was like, "Holy fuck, it's Dan Green!" Like,
we had literally just walked in the door. I mean, 5 steps, and Professor Sean's looked over. He's like, "That guy's big," and I was like, "Yeah, he is." And I was like, "Well, fuck, that's Dan Green." Like literally 4 steps into the door, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be great."
Thinking that like that was going to be really unusual. I'm
Yeah.
like, Tanner, I got to track him down. So I go after him. Dan. I'm like yelling at him, and he is probably the most mellow person in the world. And so he turns around. It's like, hey. And I'm like trying to make small talk with him for a minute, just to ask for a picture. And I mean, he was polite, but you could just tell like he wasn't.
Super into it.
He wasn't super. I mean, he probably just wanted to mind his own business and do his
Yeah.
thing because he probably had a bunch of other people interrupt him that day, which I don't blame him. But, we got a quick picture with him and he walked away and you realize that is one wide guy.
You don't get to be that big and wide and just like swagger through the room and not expect people to be like, "Hey, let me stop you, and I want to talk."
People
to
are
you.
definitely going to wonder if you're that's the other, like, you can be big because this place is full of people that are huge, right?
Yep.
But
and then you can be Dan Green.
you have to be once you get to a certain level of huge at the Arnold, like every person that you walk past will immediately think in their head, "Hey, is that a person?
Yeah.
Like, is that a
What does
person
he-
that I
does he
should
do
know what that
something?
person
Yeah.
does?"
So I think that was kind of the biggest surprise. Tyler, you've been here before, so maybe you had more of an idea of what to expect. But
Yeah, I'm
we
a
kind of
real
thought that like
seasoned
these
vet.
you got one under your belt. We didn't know if like seeing these people from YouTube that are famous to us
And Instagram
if they would
and
be like
everything,
these white rhinos that don't exist anymore. But like we see Dan Green right away, we get super excited. It's not even 5 minutes later, it's like, God, that guy looks like Mike O'Hearn over there. And we're just
Like, not
looking.
in the expo even yet.
Yeah, we're
just,
not even
walking
in the.
down.
We're like in the entryway. It's like he just really looks like him, and then we're like getting closer. Like, God, that guy really can fill out a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Like those things are just packed.
That was definitely Mike
and
O'Hearn.
it was
That was
Mike
Titan.
O'Hearn Titan, just chilling, talking to some random people. It wasn't too much longer. Well, a little bit later in the day, we did the strongman, which all those guys are huge, so it's obvious. But then we run into Kevin Oak. And then,
Mike Rashid.
or that's what I meant. Mike Rashid.
Rashid,
Mike
yeah.
Rashid. I'm sorry. Yeah,
We saw Kevin
I saw
Oak from a
Kevin Oak.
distance,
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw Kevin Oak during the strongman thing in the crowd, but running into Mike Rashid. Mike Rashid was super cool.
Really cool guy.
Yeah,
Really
nice. He was
Snapped a
awesome.
cool picture, or snapped a quick picture with him.
He was so cool that like we almost felt like I didn't even take a picture with him because I was like felt bad because he was so cool about us taking his time.
I'll honestly follow Mike Rashid more closely than I did
Yeah.
previously, just because of like
Just 'cause of
how-
Oh, and like,
he's
the
really
fact that he
nice
talked to us
yeah.
and wasn't in a hurry at all. Like, I think if we wanted to chill with him for a few minutes, he would have been fine with it. But saw him.
There's also only in those type of interactions, it seems like there's only so many things you can say. Like maybe if we're trying to produce like a piece of content,
Yeah.
we can go something funny with it and it can be cool. But like when you do just see a person like that, you're like, hey, you're that person from that thing. And then you're just like, you feel like that
you're
Chris
weird.
Farley bit where you're like, you remember when you were like, you're like hey, Mike Rashid, do you remember when you were like super jacked? And that was pretty cool that you do that. You know, like,
and it was probably.
I'm a big fan of how jacked you are, Mike.
Yeah.
But here, the other thing is there is a lot of people at an event like this that are super fucking weird. So like we're probably not the weirdest people that they're gonna run
definitely
into.
say that.
So if within a few seconds, Mike Rashid is probably like,
Oh, these guys aren't messed
yeah,
up.
he probably came into it being like, don't. oh, okay, they're not crazy.
They just want a picture.
Yeah, like good.
And we said like normal things. And
Yeah.
we got a couple laughs out
yeah,
of it.
they're
so
not
it's
like,
probably-
hey, could you spit in this jar for me and can I keep it?
Do we need Tanner to explain about his friends he made on the airplane?
Oh, that's a very big story. So let me
that is-
frame this a little bit,
Yeah,
okay?
you start. I don't even know how to go into it.
From
so.
a distance. This is
on
my
the plane-
observation.
This is on the plane to Columbus.
Yeah, because with no accident, I was seated miles in front of these other animals.
It's because you have troubles getting on and off the plane, so they
That's
put you
true.
first.
He gets
That's true.
zone.
No,
one.
I'm on a special list. So anyway, I was a few rows ahead, and I hear Tanner doing what Tanner tends to do, which is just talking about Massenomics with strangers. and this is going on for a while, and he was talking to the guy in the seat next to him, and then there was a guy who was very just extremely
Outspoken
talkative
guy.
to like as he was boarding the plane and
with
like,
a large curly Q mustache.
Yep,
and a hat of like a Pharrell, almost like a hat you might see Pharrell wearing at an
and
award show.
And this guy sat like right in front of me, and like just chatted to the guy next, like in front of me. Just sat to the guy next to him and talked to him for like, I don't know, 30 or 40 seconds while people are boarding the plane, and then got up and went to his seat for no fucking reason at all. Did he stop there and do it? And I was like, oh, this fucking guy. The plot gets a little thicker, but I want to frame it as in Tanner had been told from this guy that he was Navy SEAL.
One of the original Navy
One of the
SEALs
original, like
under
like
JFK,
the
yeah.
like before they were called Navy SEAls. What was that? There was a, if I remember right, from I don't even remember what it was called, but they were called a different thing. But basically, it was the Navy SEAls. But it was like he was an OG Navy SEAL, and also that he grew up with Bill Kazmaier,
Best
best childhood
friends.
friends. Hadn't seen him in a long time, and that Bill, since Kaz is getting inducted into the like International Sports Hall of Fame this weekend at the Arnold, he was going to come down and see him and watch the stuff and all that stuff. And it
Well,
was
they
like,
got kind of reintroduced to each other on Facebook again, didn't they? Is
Yeah.
that how it was?
yeah. So it was one of those things where, for me, at a distance in my head, I'm like, you're not a fucking Navy SEAL for sure, because it's kind of like that Napoleon Dynamite thing. Like, we are cops. Yeah, we're Navy SEAls.
Yeah.
And then also it's like, yeah, I'm also best friends with Bill Kazmaier, and we go way back. And you don't want to believe any of it. But
Well, first you look at him, and then you look at
Oh,
Bill
yeah.
Kazmai's life, and they're 180 degree
exactly.
difference.
And the other thing is, this guy was, I would say, approximately 5'2".
Yeah.
And Bill said he's like 120 pounds.
Yeah.
So now I will now hand it off to Tanner, and I would like Tanner to explain some of the intricacies of the conversation before we get into the big reveal at the end of the day.
And maybe the coolest part of this is today I learned that you can talk to someone. You can stand in the aisle of an airplane and talk to someone for 40 minutes, and I guess that's allowed now. Yes. Like they will move the beverage cart around you.
The flight attendant will just
flight
stand there
attendants
and wait.
will politely stand 5 minutes before they ask you to move. Then when you move, you can go right back. It doesn't matter.
They were getting a little bit fed up
So
with
I
him, though.
think, so I think on the plane ride home, if I don't get to
does
sit
not
by you guys,
care.
I'm just gonna come stand by you the whole time.
just
And we
hang
can
out.
just chill.
And like, yeah, he got away with some shit. While there's like a whole plane full of people behind him, like like waiting.
And I
Like,
was
I'm
I was in the
fucking
back of the
thirsty.
plane watching this guy, and it was getting to the point where everyone was like ducking their head out, like, "What is this dude doing?" Because he's just standing here forever. But Tanner, take it away.
Yeah, I'll try and just hit the highlights because I could probably go into a story.
Go on for
30
45 minutes
I
and
mean,
recreate
because
it?
we talked for 2 hours nonstop. It felt like. I mean, and by we talked, I mean he talked at me, and I like said, nodded my head and agreed and laughed and smiled and liked it. But he just came up to me and the guy I was sitting next to. He was also going to the Arnold, and I could see he had jacked arms. And he could see that I probably lifted before, and he's like, going to the Arnold? I was like, yep, going to the Arnold. Yep. So then we talked about Arnold things for about 20 minutes. And then this guy overheard us. Tom is his name. Tom Hanratty, I think is his last name, something like that.
We got a business card.
Yeah. He came back, he whipped out this old printed out flyer of the Arnold that it looked like he printed out like 3 months ago. Or it looked like he had his daughter printed out, and like he's been folded it up and carrying it around in his pocket ever since. And he's pointed at it. He's like, "You guys going to this?" And we're like, "Yep, you betcha." And he's like, "Oh, I thought so. I thought I heard you talking about it." He's like, "Do you know who this guy right here is?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. That's Bill Kazmaier." He's like, "Yeah, that's my childhood best friend." And then he proceeded to pull out not his phone to show me pictures, but he had in
Actual
his
Polaroids?
pocket a stack of about 40 pictures that he wanted to
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he set them I had my tray table out drinking a water, and he set them on my tray table. Actually, slightly before this, he pointed to the pin on his Navy SEAL pin, and he's like, "You know what that is?" And I said, "Yeah, that's the Navy SEAL
Trident.
And then I said, "I take it you were a Navy SEAL." And before those words were even out of my mouth, I was like, "Oh God," because I know, the saying is once a Navy SEAL, always a Navy SEAL. And he's like, "No, I wasn't a Navy SEAL. I am a Navy SEAL." And then I was like, "Yeah, once a Navy SEAL, always a Navy SEAL." And he's like, "Yeah, unless you're gonna take it away from me." And I was like, "No,
I don't plan on doing that today,
no,
sir. At least not on this plane.
But he said he was childhood best friends with Kaz, and at this point I didn't know if this was true or not. Like a lot of people talk, and
Because like the possibility, if you were to just lay out this thing, a person's going to approach you. This person weighs 120 pounds, and he's going to tell you that he was a Navy SEAL and that he's best friends with Bill Kazmaier. You're going to be like, you made all of that up.
right,
This
it
isn't
sounds
true.
like you're just picking out cool things
And,
and
those,
saying
and,
them.
and the thing is, those are also both things that other than today, you could never, ever research and call him out on, ever. Like, there is no way. He could have told you that, and it could have been true or not been true, and you never would have known.
Right. So he shows me these pictures, and like the first one is him and Kaz and about 4 other kids. It's a picture from 1960 or whenever they were probably about 10 years old. And he's like, "You see me right there?" And this is a very small man, so obviously he's a small kid too. He's like, "That's me there." And you see that kid behind me, and this kid was like 2 head lengths
Yeah, he's
higher.
a lot bigger. And
He
Yeah,
looked
taller,
like it looked like a 9-year-old in a picture next to a 17-year-old.
Yeah, and he's like, "That's Bill right there," and he's talking about Bill's childhood and some different things about that, and I was starting to be like, this seems like it probably is true, because he flipped through in the next picture and he's like, "That's me in this go-kart, blah 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 blah," and Bill right there pushing me, and it's like, yeah, that I can tell that's probably like an 11-year-old Bill Kazmaier, and he was huge compared to him. And he said, like, when he was 11 years old, he weighed 120 pounds or something already, and he could overhead press that much, his body weight.
jeez,
I don't know
Jesus.
but
probably.
yeah, I don't. It would be hard to argue it when you're talking Bill Kazmaier. But that went on for literally 40 minutes, and yeah, all these stewardesses kept walking by, and I could see them like glaring at him and kind of like
Me,
saying,
Shane, Shans, and Tommy were just wondering what the hell's going on.
And so, like, I'm a scene in this entire plane. Like, I don't necessarily want to be a scene and draw that much attention to myself, but I'm just all that
Just
I'm doing
along
is
for the
sitting
ride.
there, And it was really interesting, so I kind of did want to hear about it too. So that went on forever, and we got off the plane and exchanged business cards and yada yada. And I said, "Well, maybe I'll see you at the Arnold, Tom." And kind of thinking, well, there's 200,000 people there, probably won't see you at the Arnold.
Yeah.
And then
So flash forward, we're at the Arnold. We're watching the Strongman event, which Bill Kazmaier and the great WWE /
Henry.
Strongman legend,
Sexual chocolate, Mark Henry.
sexual chocolate Mark Henry. Was he also a member of The Godfather and his Hoe Train? Was
I don't think
was he
was
in that
he
crew?
wasn't
He wasn't
part
in
of
that
them.
crew, was he?
No.
Okay, that's a legendary era in the WWE, which I'm a huge fan of. But
The Attitude Era. maybe?
Attitude era.
era,
The
but-
only era.
But so the only era is right. But anyway, nothing's happening on the stage, but we do see Bill Kazmaier. We're like, "Hey, there's Kaz. That's cool." And then we see him like handing a chair over into the crowd, and then we see fucking little Tom and his fucking curly
receiving the
Q
chair.
mustache like grabbing this chair from Kaz. We're like, "Fucking Tom
Is buddies with Kaz.
and then it sets in. We're like, well, he was definitely telling the truth.
this is
Obviously,
true.
at this point, he had a lot of third-party validation with the
Yeah.
pictures
Yeah.
and the stories. We're like, and then we're like, okay, well, we're pretty sure he's also the only person who's ever told me he's a Navy SEAL that was actually a Navy SEAL, and also is definitely friends
Son of a
with
bitch, he's
Kaz.
friends
Like
with Bill
Kaz, and
Kazmaier.
Kaz was getting him a special place to sit.
He's like mobbing
and
in
he was
all
kind of
VIP.
like, wasn't he kind of? He announced to the crowd who he was.
Oh
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So then as between events, there was Mark Henry's not so good at stalling, and truthfully, neither is Kaz. But so they're just like hanging out while they're moving shit around, just talking some things. I found out that I really don't think they had a plan either. So they're just like they're literally walking around the audience like.
Which I don't know if I blame them completely because
no,
I would have
somebody should have
like
planned
if-
that.
Well, that
for
is
them.
pretty. That would be real
If
tough.
you told me Rogue's hosting the Strongman, it might take them 20 to 30 minutes to set up an event. I'd be like,
Well, you should
No, they're
definitely.
professionals.
Well, it also would be like you should definitely then get like a fucking stand-up comedian or something, because there's like Mark Henry and Kazmaier standing up there like
Trying to figure
So,
out-
do any of you guys think you could lift this 1,100-pound frame? And everybody's like,
I mean,
no.
I thought Kaz did good, but Mark, he had
Kaz
Martin
is
to
good,
work
but
with.
Mark
Kaz
Henry
has
had a tough
things
go
he
of
can
it.
say,
Yeah.
but he can't just sit there
they
and
kind of just have like their catchphrases.
Yeah,
that they
right,
go back
right.
to, and-
So, but then Kaz kind of started like almost doing like crowd work, where he's like, I see so many big people here. I almost wonder if some of you guys couldn't do it. And he's like, but then I see my friend Tom here. Tom, I grew up with Tom. Tom, I don't think Tom's only 120 pounds. I don't think he could do it. But Tom, he was great. Tom was a Navy SEAL,
Went on
served
and
in
on
the
about
military, and Tom and I grew up together. And all. He went on and on and on
like
and on.
he's now works in the health service
Yeah.
industry,
Helping
like,
vets with PSD.
Yeah,
Helping vets with
PTSD.
PTSD and all this stuff, and we're just sitting there like
like
and-
Tom's
and-
like he's having Tom
standing
up,
up in front of the whole deal. So now we did genuinely believe Tom
Yeah.
because he had enough. There was enough validation to it.
Yeah,
And you kind of just want to believe a little guy like that.
Yeah,
you know,
for
like,
sure. But I do believe if Tom didn't have those pictures on the plane, you would have been like, oh, why is this guy talking to me? There's no way. And then what would have happened is we would have been there at the Arnold, been like, no fucking way. The dude was right. Like, because it's almost like the equivalent of like a crazy person telling you that like, I fucking was best friends with JFK. And me and him, we were college roommates. And then after he got assassinated, the CIA's had it out for me the whole time. And then you find out that like, yeah, they were best friends with JFK. And they're like, yeah, the CIA really fucked this guy over. Poor guy. It's like,
that was true.
you're like, man. So like, but fucking props to Tom. I guess Tom is probably the story of the day for us.
He's like a legit badass.
Well, yeah, like
legit.
you're 21 years as a Navy SEAL. Like you do not spend 21 years as a Navy SEAL.
No, if you're
And
a
not
Navy
be,
SEAL, you are a badass.
Yeah.
and not be like a legitimate one of the
Badass
baddest
mother-
motherfuckers
yeah,
on the planet
right.
for sure.
So
I
it
mean,
really-
in his
really
prime,
is
he
was,
could have killed
yeah.
all
Yeah.
5 of us really
if
easy
we
by
came,
himself.
even if we came at him at the same time, I do believe that he could handle us. That's crazy.
Son of a bitch can talk though.
Goddamn.
he really
It
would
was
get
really
your
funny.
personal
He gave
space.
his business card said motivational speaker,
Yeah.
and it
You're
made
like, I
perfect
get it.
sense because while I was watching it, he was doing a lot of like hand gestures that normal people don't do. Like he's doing like just really emphasize. Like he's like I see him talking to Tanner.
Yeah.
He's like has his photos and he's like, it's like he's like. He's like taking his photos. He's like throwing them down and like doing these hand things and like double pointing at you. It's like people don't use those in just regular conversation.
Exactly.
Like I'm never going up to Ross and being like, Ross, what's going on?
And he's using
You don't-
like, so much
And I see him like
fluctuation in his
grabbing like your
voice, yeah,
shoulder and like
Yeah.
leaning in. And,
And you also don't do those types of things for the most part in your daily. Even if you're a good communicator, you don't do the like nobody fucking orders pizza that way. Yeah, you don't go up to Little Caesars like I'm gonna need a fucking two hands to the pepperoni medium.
the side of crazy bread.
But yeah, so props to Tom. Tom, as much as we thought maybe we were gonna doubt Tom, Tom's the real deal, and he's badder than all of us for sure. What else did we do today, you guys? We kind of the Arnold. We basically got our credentials and rushed to the strongman stage because
met our homies at Pioneer Fitness.
yes,
Hopefully
we did stop.
It
at
was
Pioneer.
rushed. Hopefully we'll get a little more time with them tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
We're going to try and find a way to get in there early tomorrow so we can get like kind of a walkthrough of their booth and kind of see some of their shit. There should be, if all goes well, there should be a sweet video on YouTube.
We should be able to get a better feel for everything tomorrow.
Yeah.
The problem with tomorrow is tomorrow we'll get a better feel for everything, but there's
So
also
will
going to be
everyone
twice
else.
as many people.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Oh,
going to
that
be
is- yeah, that's
feeling
true.
the same thing we're feeling. But tomorrow there's going to be a lot more powerlifting for sure. I think we're going to try to forego the afternoon strongman stuff, and we're going to just double down on the
Go watch
strongman final.
Big Ray.
See-
Big Ray squat 1,020 or
That's what he's gonna try on his third, I think.
not bad.
Optimus Prime.
Not
Money
bad at
time.
all.
What's going down in the animal cage tomorrow, guys?
I know Duffin.
Ross is gonna,
Duffin
Duffin tries to or he
2,300.
Yeah, with a barbell roll, deadlift, and squat. Right? Is that what it
Oh.
is? He's not benching. He's barbell rowing. I think he's gonna barbell roll like six plates.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he can do it like
Yeah.
I'm assuming is Pete Rubish tomorrow?
Pete Rubish. Yep.
Is doing 735 for 10 on deadlifts.
Yeah.
I think is Casey Mitchell tomorrow. One-legged monster
Yeah,
might be
gonna
tomorrow.
gonna pull a big
And then
single,
there's
probably
that
600
Doyle.
plus. Oh, Sean Doyle.
He's going.
Squat 900
Yep,
plus
he's
with
going to
Chris
go at the
Duffin
kind of around the same time as
as
Duffin.
Yeah.
And I think Dan Green has a legs up
Feet
bench.
up bench
Me and
press.
Dan talked about that today. I asked him how
When you guys were trying to figure out if you guys were going to maybe move in together?
Yeah,
or...
me and my friend Dan, we both wear we both like usually on Friday the Arnold we get together and we decide we're both gonna wear our 3/4 sleeve black and white.
Yeah. I mean, they won't
shirt.
have like one will have
with
black and one
inverted
spot.
color patterns.
Yeah.
So you don't want to
'Cause we
look
didn't wanna
exactly the same.
We didn't want to look dumb, but
Yeah.
when we took our picture together, that we usually do. But I
You know how we do.
I asked him if he was ready for his bench, and he said, "Yep."
So there's the inside scoop.
Yeah.
Like, yep.
The inside scoop is right there.
Yeah. So yep.
Heard it here first.
I hope I don't intimidate him too bad. Yeah.
Big SC boy or big boy, the
Oh,
heavy
yeah, yeah,
hitters,
yeah.
the
What is? I'm gonna tell that story.
his
I'll
name.
look him up
Is it
on
Big
Instagram.
Boy
and get his,
SC
I'm gonna
or
get
Big
his name right.
See, that's it's but he's
They're
one-
from the Strength Cartel, right? Or
Yeah,
is that what they're
Strength
called?
Yeah.
Cartel.
Now that they were
what's
they
the
all
number?
were formally on Rich
In prison?
Piana's
Oh.
crew, and they were
Yeah, they were
probably,
originally 5%.
But there was some sort of falling out, which I just simply don't care enough about to get into.
YouTube fitness drama.
Yeah, it basically is, right?
he is a beast and really
Oh,
strong
yeah,
though
yeah,
too.
no doubt.
But we were walking through the not even the expo, but the hallway.
It was shortly after we ran
Yeah,
into our
everybody's kind of
friend-
leaving.
Yeah.
Shortly after we ran into our friend Mike Rashid.
Yeah, it was after we had a
Our new
little
our new
meeting with Mike Rashid.
What are you thinking?
but-
Like top 5 best friend, Mike Rashid?
yeah, he's up there with Dan.
I mean, he
Green
did
and-
say he appreciated us. So.
Yeah, that's true.
He told me I had my
appreciates
lens
the
cap on, so he's kind of like a photographer, sort of too.
Yeah.
show.
So
Giving you photo.
so Big Boy
photography
is
advice.
it's Big SC Boy on Instagram, and I don't even remember what his name is. What is his actual name? I think it's
Big
no
Boy.
It's
SC.
I guess it's not
lot of
fucking
ideas after
relevant, but he's an enormous person. Now in pictures, I will say this: in pictures and in real life, the dude is fucking wide
Yeah,
as fuck.
he is wide, and he has tattoos that probably only make him look wider too. Like
Yeah, like
He is like a
specifically-
walking deep freeze.
Yeah,
freezer.
it really is a low boy, waist high. But that was the deal. So in his pictures, since he's so wide, he just looks so fucking tall.
Yeah.
I mean, just so big in general that that I just fucking couldn't
Assumed
like.
he was tall and, big.
And we're walking through the crowd. This is just after we see Mike Rashid get done talking to him. We start turning around, and Tanner's like going through this group of people.
like an asshole.
Yeah,
Tanner,
and I-
going
and-
through these people.
and
Like I couldn't
immediately-
figure out what the fuck Tanner was doing.
Immediately, I spot this, big SC boy, and Tanner's like bumping into
Yeah,
him.
like
and
I'm
like
like,
thinking,
well,
him. I ran into
not
him.
only did Tanner go through this crowd of, I would say, 12 people, all wearing the same hooded sweatshirts,
Yeah.
like Tanner then fucking goes in, throws his hands in the air, and starts kind of spinning in circles as he's going through them. To where I, the whole time I was like, do you actually know these people?
and
or you're just fucking with them?
I thought
Because
that
I don't
was
know
the
if I would
icebreaker.
do that with Ross if I saw him at the mall in our town.
and
I don't know that I would do that to him. But Tanner's just like doing it to this guy, and I'm like,
And
what
I thought
in
it was the
fuck?
icebreaker of like Tanner was like so many steps ahead of all of us that he's
I was
like,
like,
oh,
I
that's
guess-
big SC boy.
yeah.
I got the best icebreaker. I'm gonna like size him up,
I've
bump
been
into
emailing him all
and
week.
we're gonna talk. And then he like just awkwardly stumbles through these people. I'm like, dude, Tanner, you see that? He's like, what? I'm like, the guy you were just running into.
Yeah.
The
Well,
one
he
the-
eyed me. He
the
eyed
one
me
who
down too.
the
He
one
was
who
like-
looked at you like he wanted to stab you.
Yeah.
But so, anyways, it was big SC boy. Tanner didn't realize it, and he's maybe 5'7".
Well, that's what threw me off. Like I looked at it, like he made eye contact while he was thinking, "What the hell are you doing?"
He's like, why are you dancing in front of me?
And I could tell it was. I was like, he was recognizable to me, but I hadn't put it together because he was so much shorter than like.
I just assumed
I
he was
didn't-
like a
like
6'3" giant.
I expected maybe like 6'2", 6'1".
I did not recognize him right away.
Yeah.
And that's been probably the biggest eye opener today is that unless you're a strong man and
Everybody is short.
You're a
and
regular
you're,
sized person.
you're well known and you're at the Arnold, you're probably 5'8" or shorter.
Yeah.
Well, now, if you're Mike Rashid, it does not matter how tall nor short you are. You will make Tanner look small.
And
And
we have the
Dan
photo of that to prove it. Like Tanner looks like he's a cardio.
Yeah. It's like
Tanner
how-
just
man.
Tanner just
how do
got
you
done
make me
running a
look so
marathon.
skinny?
Yeah, yeah. You look like a lean person.
Yeah.
And Tanner's, I mean, just
That-
fat
that
as
never
shit.
happened.
Like disgustingly fat. It's obnoxious.
It's gross. It's getting grosser.
Can't argue.
Have you guys, Tommy, did you get any sweet compliments on the lift shirt today at all?
You know, I didn't, but I'm going to blame that on two things. One being my all-access media pass.
Hanging out in front of it all?
Yeah,
Hung in
that's
there and
true.
covered it up.
Your baller
and then,
pass.
And then I also had a backpack on with a big camera hanging over everything too. So
Yeah.
the chances of anybody being able to even tell what shirt I had on were not the best.
Now, I was rocking my Massenomics' numero uno shirt, and I felt a lot of eyes on it. I don't know. I sure did. And I don't think it was because of my stunning physique. not in the presence of the other stunning physiques in this building.
Yeah, it's crazy. We talked. Who was asking me? Like, someone said, "Did you feel?" Oh, it was Professor Shantz. He was asking, "Did you feel like weak or small, or did that feel weird?" And it's not that there's like a few people bigger and stronger. It's like how how can there be thousands of people that are that much bigger out?
There's easily so where we live, I would say there is. How many people do you suppose, Tanner, are larger than you or I? Bigger, like in a way that's just not simply like a fast track to a heart attack bigger.
I would say no
Maybe
more
a
than
dozen?
two.
Yeah, I would say
You-
maybe
yeah, I
eight.
mean,
yeah, we know.
At the
I mean,
most,
they're
a
all people we
dozen.
know, yeah,
At the
yeah.
most, 10.
Yeah.
Right? Like probably.
Yeah,
at
and
the
that's
most.
even pushing it pretty good around our
Probably.
area.
And Jade is all of them. Right?
We're all thinking of Jade.
We're all thinking of one person.
Jade could be here and still be.
Well,
like,
Jade,
people would be
he would
like,
still be big
"Who
here."
the hell is that?"
They would think he is somebody.
You would think that if Jade was here, he would definitely get asked to sign autographs from people who still don't know who he is. They'd just be like, "Well, I'm just gonna have him sign some thing because
that
it's probably
guy
a
definitely
thing."
does something.
But yeah, but here, I would guess that there is no less today, probably no less than 2,000 people there that are bigger than Tanner and I,
and it could be
Yeah.
way more.
and it could be
like,
way
yeah.
more than that. And we're not talking. It's not like I am like super like bodybuilder big. I'm just a giant person. But like, there's people that are fucking so
When we
enormous.
say
and
big,
so,
we're not talking like those guys like 6'11" walking around.
No,
we're talking
no,
about
like,
We're talking about
wide.
Jack.
even
enormous arms.
There's people that are 5'6" there that make me look small, which is fucking insane.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Like, did you see that one guy walking around? He kind of had like a heathered red Massenomics shirt on with darker hair and a flat bill black
I
hat.
think I did see him.
He was jacked.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like his
Yeah,
Arnold
well,
prep had been going really well, and like it
Yeah.
all came together today.
So, speaking of that guy, we have that guy on the podcast today. I have a question for you, Shane. What exactly do you intend on doing when you somehow sneak Arnold into a corner and are allowed to get, I would say, well, you could touch him, but that's only going to get you so far. Let's pretend that you reach out and grab Arnold and drag him into a closet, and you can ask Arnold one question. What do you ask Arnold? Before his security beats down the door and kills you. And he's like, no, I get it, Shane. That's cool. Yeah. This isn't weird. I'll answer your question before they murder you.
I see on YouTube that you've watched that video.
I see how many times you've watched that movie. What's the one question you would ask Arnold if you wrestled him to a closet, other than, would you mind not pressing charges?
Gee, I don't know. I got to think about that.
I only get one question, huh?
Well, you could have several, I suppose, but one is a start. It's like scratching the mic, like, man, I don't know.
We make another pumping iron.
Yeah.
Or do you love me?
Did you really get in the choppa?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
What if you just had to like say something to Arnold? Because like everybody, I believe, especially you come to an event like this, there's a whole bunch of people around here for really one reason still. Like, it is the Arnold, and all the strongman, all that other stuff, it all really exists because of Arnold.
Yeah.
And I think it's because Arnold is hands down the biggest success story in the history of the world ever.
Still the biggest fitness icon, probably.
I would say hands down. And I don't think there's anybody that's even close. And then you boil down to what happened with action movies, that whatever they were before are a totally different thing after Arnold. You know what I mean? Like, Arnold is probably still to this day the biggest action hero ever. And, you know, there's
Which makes me wonder, is Chuck Norris ever going to start the Chuck?
I don't think so. There will not be any sort of the Chuck
The
event.
Chuck will not happen.
No. the Liam
About that.
the
Just
Liam
like
Neeson
if there was an
classic.
event called the Tyler or the Shane, or like that's how he's become, where they just say the and your first name.
You mean we're not going to rename the Massenomics Strawman competition
Tyler.
the Arnold? Yeah. It's just gonna. I'm sorry, that was terrible. The Shane.
Yeah.
The 2018 The Shane Classic.
Like, it sounds ridiculous.
Yes,
prepping for the
well,
Shane,
especially
yeah.
considering it's the first name. It'd be one thing if it was like, you know,
Schwarzenegger.
the Smith event, you know, or the Jones event, but like, yeah, for real, have it just be your first name. It's just ballsy, and I like it. But you know, like if I ran into Arnold, I don't even know what I would say to him that would even be worth the time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you would say anything worth the time.
Do you say, hey, Arnold,
Nice to meet you, big
nice
fan."
to meet you, I'm a big fan. Because do you realize that Arnold probably could hear that, if every person who believed that told him that, he could hear that 24/7 every moment for the rest of his life until he dies. Like, it would be just fucking white noise to him.
Yeah.
So like, what do you say to Arnold? I would go weird with it, I think. I don't know what I would do, but I would go super weird with it just to make sure he remembered me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say, Arnold,
Yeah.
you son of a bitch.
But you also you can't really like pull any movie lines out
Yeah.
because
He's
you know
heard
he's heard all. How many times are you gonna walk up to Arnold and go, get to the chopper? You know, or be like, hey Arnold, come with me if you want to live, and he'd be like, this guy.
Hey, no one said
like,
that for 5 minutes.
like, oh, fucking these people.
But maybe everyone just knows and no one says those things to him, and he'd be like, ha, that's funny the way you said it, kind of like in my voice like that.
It's kind of like the way
I've
that
never
I
heard
said.
anyone do that before.
It's almost like you're making fun of my accent, but I'm not supposed to be offended about it. You fucking son of a bitch. I don't know. I'd go weird with it. I'd just be like Arnold. Have you ever kissed a man? And I want you to be honest with me. Shane, is that what you would ask Arnold?
I don't know if I'd push it that far, but
You don't think you would?
yeah, I don't know. That would.
Would you at the very least ask him to be like, I tell you what, I'm going to show you a pose.
Yeah. Can I get a critique on this?
And I want you to tell me where I can improve this one pose. I feel like at the very least you'd get some value out of your experience with Arnold. Like Arnold, I just need your help with this one thing.
No, I'd show my whole routine.
Yeah.
Like, hey, would you have time to critique this?
I'm gonna just take about 15. Well, I don't gotta get bands or anything. I'm just gonna get a little pump on.
Yeah.
I'll do some push-ups, and we'll get a little bit of swole. Let me get a little sweaty.
you think.
Take off my clothes.
I'm just gonna take off my shirt, and we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, that's what I probably do now.
Like, let me do my.
It's a bit of a throwback to the old style routines, not like these new young kids are doing.
those
No,
punks.
not with all their hip hop dancing and
Yeah,
backflips.
no. They don't know anything about aesthetics either,
No,
do
No.
They're out of proportion.
Yeah.
They lack symmetry.
Or I'd be like, hey Arnold, which of the bodybuilders on the stage tonight do you think is the dumbest? Just in general, like who's the stupidest person that's out there right now? And I need you to call them out right now on camera. Go.
Yeah.
Like at least put him on the spot with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try and see him give like a politician's answer. Well, I mean, I think probably, definitely Phil Heath's stupid.
Yeah, he doesn't like Phil Heath, so he would say that.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't like the the Phil Heath generation. I think is a whole thing where the giant HGH gut, like that whole body type is not a thing that Arnold's into. At least from what I've seen on some I don't think he comes out and calls people out all that often, but that seems to be his gripe with the new era, is he's just like, these guys are weird big. They just don't look like people.
Yeah.
And I've never even been to like a full-on bodybuilding competition. So tomorrow the Arnold final is going to be a real eye-opener for me to see absolute
that looks
Men,
like when
men almost naked,
Like
just
all of them guys
prancing
you can
around.
look at.
yeah,
Right,
like
in
freak
person.
shows on that level in person is just fucking crazy.
Just like in person is definitely, just like the strongman, in person is different. When you see Brian Shaw and Half-Thor in person, you're like, oh, I guess I knew they were huge and weigh 450 pounds. But so that's what it looks like when you're 10 feet away from it. Like, same way with these guys on stage. It's like, well, I've seen the pictures. I know they look like freaks, but what does that actually look like when you get to see it, not through a camera lens?
And Tommy's gonna be like, what does their sweat taste like?
They're like, oh, now I know.
So I want to go back to this too. During the strongman competition, Tommy, I noticed, I think it was Thor, broke his fucking ammonia capsule, which then Mark Henry, of course, anytime anyone sniffed fucking smelling salts or anything, he felt the need to explain to people,
Yes.
basically to just be like, it's not steroids, you guys. But he was basically like, they're just collecting their minds, smelling some ammonia, and clearing their head. But anyway, he broke his shit and chucked it, just threw it, and it hit people where you were sitting. I don't know if you noticed it. Yeah,
I didn't notice that.
I think there was a woman about 4 people to your left.
Oh.
Who just got
Put it behind his ear, didn't he?
who just got hit with his fucking ammonia capsule.
I didn't notice that, but I did notice. So I had a table right next to me that I was setting some of my camera gear on, and I was close enough that if some of it was down on the table for 5-10 minutes, when I'd grab it, there would be chalk from the guys from the air had gotten to the stuff.
That's awesome. There also is no shortage of chalk.
I was just there, really.
They just don't fuck around. They're they just take a whole
Covered.
block of chalk, and I want to cover my back from shoulder to shoulder completely, and a little on my face, also my chest and forearms and hands. And they would do the front of their thighs for no fucking reason. And it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
How intense did the look on Thor's face look when he was out there during the?
It was pretty. It was.
When they announced at the very beginning, right?
The whole time
when
he
he
was
came
the first
out
there and he just stood there
Yeah, when he came out, that picture I have, we were looking at him. It's it looks like he's looking directly at you.
Yeah.
And it felt like it. I remember taking the picture, thinking because that was right after I got there. God, am I not supposed to be taking pictures right here? He looks offended that I'm literally 4 feet from him taking pictures, And I feel like he's mad at me that I'm doing this. And if he doesn't like it, he could just pick me up and move me and get me out of there. But yeah, he had that the killer instinct in his eye.
Did you guys think, like, I thought this in the back of my mind, like when they were getting ready to like go, like Mark Henry would not shut up. Like what?
Yeah,
what,
right.
Like, did
When
you
there's,
not?
it's like, dude, or like halfway in the middle of
Like
it.
when they were like, there was times where Thor was trying to go, and Mark Henry would not shut the hell up about how much he weighed. Yeah. And I just thought, I was like, man, I bet they do not appreciate
I noticed that too. A lot of times it's like, okay, stop talking now. Like they're in the middle of it. Like I don't need to hear you anymore.
And then like there was a few times like during the actual like lift, they would, I don't remember what the guy was. He wasn't, one of the two big names, but he was hauling the bale, doing the yoke carry. And what he had said was, I think what Mark Henry wanted to say was like, he's gonna try to get this finished or something like that. But basically, he just said while the guy was halfway through the fucking lift, like, he's not gonna get this finished because Mark Henry basically stumbles over his words and misspeaks like that's what he got paid to do.
And then he dropped it, and he's like, "Oh, that's not enough." Yeah. Like, well, no shit. He's halfway up there.
I do hope that at the final I'm assuming at the final they're gonna have an actual MC to move everything because it's a 3-hour deal. It's gonna be the bodybuilding finals, the strongman final. It's like the finals for everything. And Arnold's going to be there, and he'll be on stage. So I'm assuming that there's going to be like some real entertainers
A lot of
that are
times
going
they
to talk.
have this British guy that he does like the
World's
Strongest Man, the British version or English version. He covers that, and I know I've seen him do the Strong Arnold before. And
I kind of wish they should like you could just get like a professional fucking like college football announcer. You know what I mean? Just somebody up there who can talk and kill some time. Like I know they're just like, oh, Mark Henry's a strong man, and well, he's retired, so we should put him up there. But like, you could get that dude from college football to just be like, "Whoa, Nelly, we got fucking some dude."
You could just hire a local radio DJ,
Because that's
and
not an
they
easy
know how to
job.
fill the gaps.
No, it's not an easy job.
Like it's not like, oh, Mark Henry, you suck. It's like, well, most people can't.
No,
do
that
it,
is
you know?
that would be definitely hard.
Yeah. Well, especially if you got to kill some time.
At the very least, he seems comfortable up there. He's not like awkward. Like
I suppose like he probably did do really good, but some of the stuff was just like, come on,
There's a couple of things that if I had to give notes on it, and it would be definitely you need to have music be a part of it.
Yeah,
they weren't even piping any music in through, so it was Mark Henry and Kaz talking, and then when they went to do the thing, nothing would happen. And the crowd, there's too much distraction, and the crowd's all standing there. There's not enough.
I was in the very front row, and I could routinely hear music from, I'm assuming, the other side of the convention hall playing from
some really good
someone's
music,
random.
though, wasn't it?
It was really bad for a while, and then it got awesome a little bit later. So the Bruno Mars came out late in the deal, and I was pretty into that. But yeah, like
Who's she?
You're hearing Bruno Mars from like literally a quarter mile away in the same building, and that's the one thing. It's like if you had the person there emceeing it, just have them be like, all right, we're gonna get ready to go. It's gonna be blah 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 and blah, blah, and here you go, and then poof, and then you just have a guy be like, whatever music is playing, just make it louder at this place. So the crowd has to get into it. It drowns out some of the other nonsense, and people are paying attention to what's going on. Otherwise, yeah, it gets to be fucking kind of boring almost. You're watching somebody try to carry 1,500 pounds, and you're like, what is happening behind me? Like, what's going on over here? Like if anybody tried to do that at our gym, nobody would be doing anything else, no matter what. Like, you'd be like, well, hang on,
the world would
let
stop.
me get done in the bathroom before you try to start doing this real quick. Nobody would do anything else.
Right.
So I think that's a big problem with strongman in general. Like the World's Strongest Man, the production value, the actual the video production's shit. The PR is terrible. Like they just don't market it very well. It never looks good in the end. I think they need, like we talked about this earlier, like at least CrossFit has like some really high quality media products that come out around it. And that's where Strongman lacks. Everybody remembers Strongman. Everybody grew up around it. Everybody knows the World's Strongest Man just because it's generally kind of awesome, but the fucking product's terrible. Like it's not. I don't think the product visually is any better now than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, when you're watching it on ESPN2 when you're like 8.
Yeah, sick home from school.
And that's the thing. When I watched the fucking World's Strongest Man this year from Botswana, that they didn't release until 6 months after it happened for no fucking reason
On CBS Sports.
on CBS Sports, and it's terrible. And there's 35 people watching it who got paid, to eat fucking. They each got given like 3 bags of rice to show up to this thing. You know what I mean? Like nobody there gave a fuck about what Thor or Shah or any of them were doing. Like nobody there was like really strongman enthusiasts. They were just there.
Oh, these guys eat like 10 pounds of food a day, and we're supposed to sit here and watch them.
A bunch of hungry people watching these fucking gluttons eat and carry things. So it just didn't make any sense to me why it had to be there. But like just in general, like I do believe that now Rogue's involvement in making strongman equipment and selling strongman equipment is a good thing, because they at least are trying to I think last year was their first big push, was last year, right?
I think so.
And if you look at things that'll probably be like long-standing quality media products, their elephant bar deadlift video is awesome. Makes me want to deadlift every single time I fucking see that thing. Their video of Shaw's stone record is A1. What else? They did one more last year, wasn't it? I don't remember what it was, though.
Yeah.
Wasn't as good as those two, but like, they were all over this thing this year.
Really
so
good, though.
yeah, so like if they can do that type of stuff with strongman, and I think that, but like that level of production needs to be put into the actual the product being televised and put out there, and then there might be some money behind it, and then these guys might actually do it. But performing in Botswana in front of 50 people who are barely cheering, and unfortunately at the Arnold in front of thousands of people who are also barely cheering, the production value is just not there, and it's it's a shame, because it's one of the coolest things that's going on.
You
there.
could tell people were just they wanted to be there to watch it, but
there just wasn't enough to try to get you involved. That was the key. Everybody wanted to be there. Nobody was walking away from the thing, but when they would announce the deal, no one was cheering.
Yeah.
It really was kind of a dead crowd, which is unfortunate. But everybody rallied around Shaw and Thor, and it would have been a totally different animal with Eddie Hall and Big Z.
Yeah, for sure.
That definitely would have changed the game if those two would have been there.
And it's funny because I don't think people are cheering, like half the people are cheering for Brian Shaw, and then the other half want him to lose, and the other half are cheering for.
No,
everybody's
half,
just
everyone's
cheering for
just cheering.
both of them.
You're
So
like,
if
these
Eddie
are the
Hall
two
and
people.
Zadrunas Savickas are there, it's just
Twice as
everyone's
much cheering.
Everyone's going to be cheering for. Like, it's not like you're rooting for your favorite guy. Like, you're just rooting for the guys that are going to put on a good show.
Yeah, and the guys that a little bit. That's all it really takes. But yeah, it was. I don't know. All in all, it was awesome. Still, it's a good event. It'll be a good day. We're really looking forward to tomorrow. Do you have anything else we need to cover tonight? I need to cover
just my
myself
mattress.
with some sheets.
Yeah.
We've been up for, I don't even want to know, too
Like
many
29
hours.
hours or
I'm gonna guess it's like 1,000 hours we've been awake.
Feels like it.
So, but I think that's gonna do it for us today, guys. I'm gonna try and give the quick rundown. We're not in the studio, so I'm gonna try and remember everything. So make sure you go to Massenomics.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and sign up for the email newsletter. There you can also click the Shop Now button. You'll find hats, shirts, all the cool shit, including Tommy's rockin' new lift shirt. It's ballin'. Everyone at the Arnold's gonna want one, so you should get one too.
Yep.
There you're gonna find also all our articles and other podcast stuff. Make sure you like our page on Facebook. That'll keep you in the loop on everything that we're doing. Also, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We are not going to read 5-star reviews tonight because it's just simply too late.
It's too much.
Tommy's yawning.
It's too much.
I've been yawning.
Everybody's
too,
tired.
Yeah.
So we're not going to read any reviews tonight, but we'll get to them later. So go to iTunes. Please leave us a 5-star review. We will read them on air.
Sometime when we have less other exciting things going on.
Yeah,
we'll
we
use
gotta
it.
get out there and conquer the world tomorrow. So, but that's gonna do it for us today. I'm Tyler. You can find me on Instagram at Tyler F and Stone, and Tanner.
The Massenomics Instagram account at Massenomics.
Tommy.
You can find me on Instagram at tomahawk_D.
Ross, where do you post all your dick pics?
You can find all them at Roscoe2828.
And Big Shane, trying to put that info out there.
You can find me working out at the Massenomics gym.
And that's the only way you're going to find Big Shane, because that's all he does.
That's right.
That's right.
get
All right.
serious.
Thanks a lot for listening.
Serious.
Let's get serious. Thanks a lot for listening, guys, everybody, and stay strong.
See ya.
And serious.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears, you're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.